You walked in the age of the Emperor. Bjorn made the gear-grinding chuckle again. Walked, ran, pissed, and killed. I did it all. I met the Allfather, you know. Fought at his side more than once. I do believe he liked me. Kisnero slowly went to his knees. Ofa, not you as well. Hello, and welcome back to the Wisdom of Warhammer channel. And today we're going to be going over the life lessons of Bjorn the Fell Handed. We will go over his time before his entombment in his dreadnought, then his current lore. Side note, I do not own any of the artwork in the video, and all things Warhammer under the ownership of Games Workshop and Black Library. Now with the intro out of the way, let's get the video started, shall we? We don't know much about his life before the Legion, but Bjorn was born on Fenris. During the Great Crusade, Bjorn served in Trot Company, but he was just a regular legionary. When Bjorn was on Fenris with his company, a conservator named Caspar Hauser was landing on the planet to learn about the 6th Legion, and Bjorn shot down the ship accidentally. Bjorn was told to rescue the man. He slaughtered a whole raiding party and helped out Hauser and the tribesmen who helped him. 19 years passed, and he reunited with the conservator, and both became intertwined in each other's fates for some time. During the Council of Nicaea, a demon disguised as the equerry of the 15th Legion, Amon, told Caspar that he was used to spy on the wolves of Fenris for the Thousand Sons. Bjorn arrived alongside a rune priest and fought off the demon, and after some time, the wolves were called to bring Magnus in. Bjorn and all the legionaries of the Space Wolf Legion went to Prospero with the task of the destruction of the 15th Legion and their Primarch. During the battle, the demon was trying to claim Caspar's soul, but after it told the truth about his role in its plan. But Bjorn intervened at the cost of losing his arm, but nothing would harm the being, and they ran. Eventually, a force of Sisters of Silence, a couple rune priests, and 2 6th Legion dreadnoughts arrived. Sometime after the Battle of Prospero, Bjorn's pack was killed by the Demon King Arvax, who was banished for a time by Leman, but sadly Bjorn became a lone wolf. After the first battle against Arvax, Bjorn fell into a depression and blamed himself for the death of his packmates and refused the approval of other space wolves due to him holding his own against the Demon King until Leman arrived. As he watched his packmates burning on their funeral pyres, Bjorn shouted a mournful howl into the dark night and swore vengeance against Arvax. 5 years after he swore to avenge his packmates, he fought Arvax one-on-one and he ripped out the demon's throat. He continued fighting in the heresy against the traitors, and he was a part of the assassination attempt on Horus. But before Leman and his legion attempted to kill Horus, Leman had to dive into the Underverse, and he needed someone to watch for his return, and it was Bjorn. Bjorn sat near the ritual site waiting for his Gene father to return, and he heard his father's voice behind him. But he knew that it was a demon. Eventually, Leman returned and banished the demon. Bjorn did go to Terra, but after the siege of Terra ended, and the death of Horus and Sanguinius, as well as the entombment of the Emperor on the Golden Throne. The wolves returned to Fenris, and a couple years passed, and Leman announced that he would be leaving with all of his personal guard, but Bjorn would not be joining his lord. Bjorn was saddened by his fate, but he listened to his lord. Bjorn served as the first chapter master of the Space Wolves and led them well, but he was severely wounded during the Proxima Rebellion, and was put in his iconic dreadnought chassis. Bjorn has fought on for 10,000 years, but as time goes on, he sleeps and dreams more of Leman Lars's return to the galaxy and to save the Imperium. He is awakened during feasts to tell the tales of the Great Crusade, Horus Heresy, and of Leman Russ. Also, he reminds the wolves of their duty to the Imperium. One incident that required Bjorn was when Magnus invaded Fenris for the first time, and he beat the demon Primarch by hitting him off a cliff. He was awakened when the Inquisition showed up to Fenris, and Bjorn was the emissary of the Space Wolves for negotiations. He told the Inquisition to get off his lawn, and they refused, and were about to be attacked, but Logan Grimnar arrived with the fleet and boarded the main ship of the Inquisition, and fought and killed a lot of the crew, and some of the Grey Knights. The battle ended when Bjorn teleported on the bridge during the battle and told everyone to stop fighting. They did, and Bjorn said to the Inquisition and the Grey Knights to leave Fenris and never come back, and he went back to sleep, dreaming of better times with Leman. In the present, he is probably sleeping because he is old, and awakening him requires a lot of resources. But he was awakened when Magnus invaded again, and he was awakened when the Primaris Marines came to the Space Wolves. As time goes on, the wolves of Fenris don't wake Bjorn unless it is required due to an invasion and or something else. But one thing is for certain, Lehman left Bjorn behind because he would be there to see Father return, just like before. Also, whenever Bjorn is in combat with the wolves, they fall into a fanatical, homicidal, and sometimes suicidal charge ahead so that Bjorn is not to be defiled by the foe. Another big thing that Bjorn does is that he reminds the Space Wolves what it means to be a Space Wolf and live up to Leman Russ's standards, which means that he sometimes has to yell at the wolves like bad dogs. Bjorn is fated to be there when Leman Russ comes back from the warp for the wolf time, and just like when he waited for Leman during his trip to the Underverse. The first lesson that we can learn from Bjorn the Fell Handed is that sometimes we have to do things that we don't want to do, but we need to do it. For example, when Leman left Fenris, he told Bjorn that he would not be coming with him because he wanted Bjorn to lead the next generation of the Space Wolves. Bjorn was saddened by this, but he eventually accepted the duty his Father gave him and has kept the Space Wolves in line. In life, we have to do things that we don't want to do, but it can help us in the future, but we don't see it at the time. Here are some tips that help deal with things you don't want to do. The first tip is to look at it as a benefit or a stepping stone for your goals, because the things that you don't want to do can be a massive benefit for you. Think about what can come from the things that you don't want to do. The second tip is that it can put yourself outside your comfort zone and can make doing things that you want to do a bit easier because you've built a sort of tolerance for it. But doing things that you don't want to do will help you out even if you don't know it and can help you grow in other ways. The second lesson that we can learn from Bjorn is to respect your elders, and this one is obvious. Respecting your elders entails listening to them speak, being kind to, and sort of look up to them. The younger Space Wolves look at Bjorn as a revered and respected Marine because he has served and pretty much has seen everything and knows the ways of the old Legion. When the wolves bring him out during a feast, everyone listens, and even some Space Marine chapters and high-ranking Imperial people know who he is. Like I said in the lore section, he made an Inquisitor and a Grey Knight kneel before him because of his long, ancient reputation, and also him meeting the Emperor and fighting alongside him a couple of times. Listening to our elders has been in human history since the time we were in caves because the elders tell us about their life and impart wisdom to the next generation, so they don't make the same mistakes and grow from the past. Elders also show us how to stay grounded and remind us to stay true to ourselves because they've had times when they weren't themselves, and if they said that they haven't, then they are lying. Everyone goes through that. So whenever you are talking to an older person who has more life experience, listen to them and ask questions because they may be able to give you advice which can help you. But remember, you don't have to listen to all their advice because some of it can be outdated and simply terrible, but still respectfully listen. And as a massive reason that we should respect our elders is that it maintains the unity between the old and the young. Because if it breaks, then the younger generation gets lost in the darkness, which can cause irreparable damage to the current generation, which is why the bridge between the old and the young is important. Now we have gotten to the end of the video on the life lessons from Bjorn the Fell Handed, the legendary dreadnought of the Space Wolves. In the next video, I will be discussing the history of the Raven Guard. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, and if you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and bell notification so you can be notified when a new video comes out. I hope you guys have a good day, and may the Wolf King hunt alongside you. This is Wisdom Warhammer, signing off.